Have you ever stepped into a place that feels real, but somehow wrong? This isn't a movie plot, it's a true story. It happened at the Palace of Versailles, a place of gold, secrets, and centuries of history. In the summer of 1901, two women visited, expecting gardens and grandeur. Instead, they found themselves in the middle of a mystery that still baffles people today. Imagine the air growing heavy, the sunlight shifting, and the world around you fading into something unfamiliar. One moment they were tourists, the next they were lost in a dream, or perhaps in the past. It's the perfect setting for a strange tale. Their visit began like any other, a train from Paris, excitement to see the Petit Trianon. But as they walked, a strange sadness crept in, as if the world had lost its color. They felt unwelcome, oppressed. Something was out of place. The air felt thick, the atmosphere heavy. They sensed they had crossed an invisible threshold. They had no idea they were about to become part of a story that would echo through history. What they saw that day would change their lives forever. Sometimes, history isn't as far away as we think. Who were these women? Not ghost hunters, but respected academics. Charlotte Ann Moberly, principal of St. Hugh's College, Oxford, practical, sensible, the last person to invent wild tales. Eleanor Jourdain, vice principal, historian, fluent in French and just as logical. Both were dedicated to facts, not fantasy. They were on holiday in Paris, their first trip together, eager to explore Versailles for its history. For them, it was part research, part adventure. They were fascinated by Marie Antoinette and the French Revolution. Their guidebook in hand, they expected to learn about the past, not walk into it. Their backgrounds make their story compelling. If anyone else had told it, maybe no one would have listened. But these were Oxford scholars, with everything to lose by inventing such a tale. They risked their reputations, their careers, and their credibility. Yet they stood by their story for the rest of their lives. Why would two sensible women risk everything for a lie? Their honesty is what makes this mystery endure. They were not seeking attention or fame. They simply could not ignore what they had experienced. Their story challenges what we think we know about reality, and it all began with a simple walk in the gardens of Versailles. As they neared the Petit Trianon, the world subtly shifted. A wrong turn led them into a lifeless, unfamiliar landscape. They saw two men in old-fashioned green coats and tricorn hats, like figures from another century. The men's directions felt unfriendly, almost sinister. The women pressed on, crossing a rustic bridge not on their map. Near a gazebo, a pockmarked man with a menacing presence stared at them. It felt as if they'd stepped into a nightmare. Then Moberly saw a lady sketching on the grass, elegant, sad, dressed in 18th century style. Later she became convinced it was Marie Antoinette herself. Faint, old-fashioned music drifted from the trees. A man with a strange accent warned them they were going the wrong way. There they finally found other tourists, and the strange atmosphere vanished. The world snapped back to normal. The oppressive feeling lifted, as if they'd awoken from a dream. The details haunted them. The bridge, the clothes, the music. Had they really seen the past? The experience was vivid, unforgettable. They left the gardens changed, unable to explain what had happened. The line between history and the present had blurred. Their walk had become a journey into another time. The mystery deepened with every memory. Versailles had shown them something no one could explain. The women felt more than confusion. They felt utterly out of place. Moberly described it as walking through a painted scene, everything real yet unreal. The light was strange, the air heavy, as if they were trespassing in history. Jourdain felt panic, especially near the sinister man by the gazebo. Both were overwhelmed by sadness and dread, as if absorbing the emotions of the past. The gardens lost their beauty, replaced by a haunting melancholy. They didn't speak of it at first, too disturbed to share their thoughts. Back in Paris, the memories lingered. A week later, Moberly asked if the Petit Trianon was haunted, opening the floodgates. Comparing memories, they realized they'd shared the same strange experiences. Buildings and bridges they saw didn't exist in 1901. The people's clothes were from another era. The details didn't add up. They became convinced they hadn't just seen a ghost. They'd slipped back in time. The idea was terrifying, but it was the only explanation that fit. Their conviction grew with every conversation. The past had reached out and touched them. Their experience was more than a haunting, it was a time slip, and it would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Moberly and Jourdain couldn't let go of what happened. They researched obsessively, comparing what they saw to historical records. Maps showed the bridge they'd crossed, descriptions matched the clothes and music. Even Marie Antoinette's presence in that spot was documented. Their findings made their story feel real. They wrote it all down, first for themselves, then for the world. In 1911, they published under pseudonyms. The book caused a sensation. Some believed, others mocked. Critics called it fantasy or confusion, but the women never wavered. Their reputations were on the line, but they stood by every detail. The story sparked debate. Could time travel be real? The idea that ordinary people could step into history captured imaginations everywhere. Skeptics tried to debunk it, but the mystery endured. Moberly and Jourdain never changed their story. To their dying days, they insisted what they saw at Versailles was real. What really happened that day? Theories abound. Some say they saw ghosts, echoes of Marie Antoinette and her court. Others believe in a time slip, where past and present briefly overlap. Moberly and Jourdain believed they'd truly visited 1789. Skeptics argue it was imagination, heat, or misremembered details. But some facts, like the bridge and the costumes, remain unexplained. The Moberly-Jourdain incident is still unsolved. It challenges our ideas of time and reality. Could the past sometimes touch the present? Maybe in the right place at the right moment, history isn't as distant as we think. The gardens of Versailles still hold their secrets, and perhaps, just perhaps, the past is waiting for you too. What would you do if you found a door to another time?